This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Well, the Philadelphia Eagles Final 53 is officially out, and there are some things to discuss, and there is some concerns regarding this roster with either specific players not here that we're hoping to come back, or there's specific players on this roster, and it's probably not hard to tell who we're going to talk about today, but we're going to be going over the Eagles roster, going over waived and released by the end of the video, and giving my thoughts on it, because I think there is a lot of youth and some new faces on this roster. Very happy. Let's get into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So a lot to talk about regarding the Final 53, which is still final right now, and things could change in the future, but a lot to talk about where this is a tough time for players really trying to see if their hard work has paid off to guarantee roster spots. And obviously the practice squad will be today whenever you're watching this video, but all we care about is the Final 53 right now and what can happen in the future. But before I go any further with this video is sponsored by BetUS. This is a word from our sponsors. If I'm the betting man, then I am, and you're rooting for the Philadelphia Eagles, this is the redemption year for Jalen Hurts. This is the year we get the bad taste out of our mouths from last season. If I'm going all in, ride or die with a Super Bowl and bringing that Lombardi trophy back to Philadelphia for a second time, you need to go to BetUS, and I'm not wasting any time with it. I'm putting $500 down as the risk and getting $7,000 back at the end of the year, because this offense is going to be explosive. This defense by Vic Fangio, it's going to be dynamic. New customers for BetUS get a 125% deposit bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. You can't pass up on this for the most important season for the Philadelphia Eagles. Check the link in the description below, and I want to thank BetUS for sponsoring this video. Okay, so to get into the Final 53, I'm going to bring up the list here, and here it is. Finally in our hands. So, quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee, Kenny Pickett. We all know how we feel about Kenny Pickett. We know we don't want him here. And Tanner, this is alphabetical order, obviously, so don't think because Tanner McKee's name is behind Jalen Hurts' name that he's getting that backup spot. This is all alphabetical order, so we just have to deal with it like this. Running backs, they only keep 3 running backs: Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Gainwell, Will Shipley. Davis Price was waived, Lou Nichols waived. So I'm really hoping Kendall Milton gone. So I'm really hoping that at least a couple of these running backs will come back. Hopefully Kendall Milton, hopefully Davis Price. So, I get it, not to keep a 4th running back. You need a lot more depth at other positions, so I completely get that. Wide receiver. Okay, you obviously traded for Jahan Dotson, so that made it a lot harder for the back end of your wide receiver core. A.J. Brown, Britton Covey, Jahan Dotson, Devontae Smith, and Johnny Wilson. Okay, we know Ainias Smith is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, has been put on IR with the hamstring/ankle injury, had the MRI, so the Eagles did not want to give up on Ainias Smith as of right now. Okay, John Ross was released. Not only that, but Parris Campbell was released as well from the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, there has been news by Jeff McLean that they could be bringing Parris Campbell back. Okay, like I said, Jahan Dotson made this a lot harder for Campbell, a lot harder, obviously, for John Ross. I thought John Ross would at least, have some value in special teams, but it seems like they don't want to bring him back, and that's a shame, because I want him to really make I didn't think he had the best camp, but it was an okay camp, but just not a good enough. And obviously, Parris Campbell has dealt with the groin injury, just came back from that, played in that preseason game on Saturday, and still didn't really wow me too much for a 3rd preseason game, because the 3rd preseason game is just the back end of your roster really playing at that point. So Parris Campbell, potentially news of him coming back. We'll see what happens, because I don't think they're going to keep 5. I think there'll be another guy out there, so we'll see what happens. Tight end, okay, Grant Calcaterra and Dallas Goedert. Now, the Eagles did waive E.J. Jenkins, which should be the number 3 guy, but they waive E.J. Jenkins because they are hoping to God that he comes back, makes it through waivers, come back to the Eagles practice squad. This is really what I'm worried about, just because there has been some good news out there, potentially that the Eagles could sign Jack Stahl. Jack Stahl was released by the New York Giants and now could come back to the Eagles. A lot of rumors from Jeff McClain on that front with Jack Stahl. But E.J. Jenkins, if he gets picked up, I will be pissed. And at this point, guys, we don't even know if we're going to have a starting tight end by the first game in 10 days, 9 days, whatever it is, against Green Bay and Brazil, with the oblique injury to Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra. Not even just that. Okay, not even just that. Albert O is getting core muscle repair surgery on top of everything else. It's like could miss 6 to 8 weeks. So Albert O is on the IR right now. And like I said, rumors of Jack Stahl possibly coming back to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's like this one's hurt. This one's got an oblique injury. This one's getting surgery. It just never ends. Albert O signed him last year. Didn't do much with him. I mean, he's been hurt twice already at this point. It's just... Man, tight end is a mess. I'm really hoping E.J. Jenkins does come back because this one's really going to bite us in the ass. I just feel like it. The 2025 offseason better be one big priority at tight end. Just saying, it better be that way. Offensive line, so you have Mekhi Becton, Landon Dickerson, Fred Johnson, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Trevor Keegan, Darian Kennard. Kennard actually had a really good camp at right guard, right tackle, Jordan Mailata, and Tyler Steen. Now, I'm really confused because I thought Tyler Steen was supposed to be shelved with this ankle injury. That's what I thought. I thought Tyler Steen was supposed to be on an IR or a PUP or something. I just did a video on it the other day. I don't know if that was the right news. Maybe it wasn't. I thought Tyler Steen was getting shelved, but apparently not. The only problem they have right now is they don't have a backup center, which I'm really hoping they're going to sign Nick Gates back to the practice squad, or they're going to have Nick Gates or Brett Toth. Really, those two names is really what I'm looking at. Dylan McMahon is gone. So there are a few offensive linemen that are gone, unfortunately. But I would think that one of those guys is coming back to the practice squad. Trevor Keegan can probably play center, but has he played enough of it? Really, you're looking for who are the guys that have played consistently at that position and played more at that position this offseason program. Not what they did in college. So what you're looking at is Nick Gates, the veteran that has played guard and center and guard, and you've had obviously Brett Toth that has played center and guard this whole offseason program as well. So I'm thinking to expect one of those guys to come back unless they feel real comfortable with Trevor Keegan going in there as the backup. I just haven't seen it unless we've been missing it behind the scenes of who else has been playing center besides those two other guys. So the offensive line is good. Obviously, your specialists are Jake Elliott, Rick Lovato, and Brandon Main. We know the specialists. We don't have to worry about that. Now your defensive line, defensive tackle position. Now they keep 6, which is interesting because I thought they would only keep 5 with obviously Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Moro Jomo, and Marlon Tuipulotu. But they add Thomas Booker, which, man, Thomas Booker has been a pretty good player really since the first game of preseason as a DT. I'm surprised they kept him. I knew if they let him go to try to waive him, he would be picked up immediately. He produced a lot. This is a guy that could produce, that could come in on the rotation, and I can't wait to see him play this year, to see what he does in the last of the rotation. If he could make any noise, that would be great. But I think he had a really strong camp. Really surprised at keeping 6 there, so that was really good. Edge rusher. Okay, my favorite position as I talk about every single video. Brandon Graham, Bryce Huff, Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, Josh Sweat, and now you add Patrick Johnson. Patrick Johnson does make the roster. Had some nice, I think Patrick Johnson's gotten better every single year, whether he's an outside linebacker or an edge rusher, especially going after the quarterback. I think he's been very successful with that in this offseason. The really big question to this group is, Can they do enough? I think defensive tackle is great right now. Defensive end, getting a Yank Ngakoue, getting somebody at this point. Is there another move in the books right now? Is this really final? Do they really want to add another DB, and change? I think they want to use more of their secondary and try to get more pressure on quarterbacks and use these blitz packages. And, you put more resources into your secondary than you have your defensive line. I think we all know this. So as long as that defensive line can look somewhat average, I think we'll be okay at the end of the day. So like I said, I've always had an issue with edge just because of productivity and trading away your best pass rusher, really your best closer, and seeing if you really have that here. But obviously with the blitz packages and what they're going to do in dime and some of these other coverages, we'll have enough guys in these blitz packages, see what's going on there with edge rusher. Linebacker, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., Ben Van Simmeren, Devin White. To me, this has not changed. I had this on my list. Ben Van Simmeren, definitely undeserving. Can't wait to see him playing more down the line. So this should be really interesting. Now with the defensive backs, now this is just going to make me rant about a couple things here. The number one positive thing. So let's read the list. Reed Blankenship, James Bradberry, Cooper DeJean, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Avonte Maddox, Tristan McCollum, Quinyon Mitchell, Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo, Isaiah Rodgers, Darius Slay. Now, Harry Roseman and Nick Sirianni had their press conference. They kept 11 defensive backs. They want to keep more defensive backs. That's what they were lacking last year. Obviously, with Zach McPherson being out, Avonte Maddox being out, they had to rotate at the nickel spot constantly, and you cannot do that in the NFL, rotate corners throughout the game. You just can't do that. But Tristan McCollum making a roster spot, happy for him, has shown flash, consistency at practice, and has been amazing, so good for him. Eli Ricks, I am so glad he is back. This is one guy I really didn't want off this team. Has he made a ton of noise this offseason program? No, but he has obviously he's gotten a little bit better, and I think at this point, I don't think this scheme really fits him too well. I think he's more of a press, more physical type corner up front, but with more time under his belt, obviously Darius Slay has been really supporting all these corners and teaching them and being around them and with them and getting them better every day. Darius Slay has been a big difference as a vet being with these guys. So, I really enjoy Eli Ricks being back. They made room for him. They want to keep more there. So that's fantastic. The only problem I have right now is James Bradberry, which we are going to get on our James Bradberry rant. The news came out earlier in the day, okay? James Bradberry. This is what Jess McClain had to say. Hearing that James Bradberry is likely to survive today's cuts, Eagles spoke to some teams about a possible trade, including the Titans, who have former Eagles DBs coach and Bradberry fan Denard Wilson, which we all know he was with the Eagles. But Bradberry's transition to safety has been slow, and he's not viewed as an outside corner by most anymore. Still, something could shake loose in the next week that would affect Bradberry's standing on the 53-man roster. Eagles are on the hook for his 2024 salary. Now, I don't care about the salary. There's a loophole inside all of that. I'm reading different numbers. I think he's only a $4 million cap hit this year, but I'm hearing he only cost $3 million this year, $15 million. I don't know what the number is at this point. But if the Eagles did try to trade him, then the money is no big deal. Then there is something going on here, okay? The problem I have with this is we can't believe he's actually still here. Potentially this could change in another week. You never know. Cooper DeJean will make the difference. Let's see if they put him at safety. That's going to be the difference. Quinyon is at nickel. Isaiah Rodgers on the outside. Ringo is the backup to Isaiah Rodgers at number 2. But what I could say now is that Bradberry really has no situation where he's better really than, at this point, he's the 4th best safety and probably the 6th best fucking cornerback. Realistically, that's where I have him. I'm sorry, but I don't know what all this positive talk about. Even today, Nick Sirianni, or yesterday, Nick Sirianni and literally Howie Roseman had a press conference after the 53-man roster, and they were like, oh, well, he's a veteran. We can count on him in the back end. And they're saying all this PR BS, okay? But realistically, Vic Fangio has been hyping James Bradberry up ever since he transitioned to safety. Oh, he's transitioning well. High IQ player. They say the same thing about him, but I'm not seeing the results. I'm not seeing him make plays in practice, and especially joint practice. Can't cover tight ends. And as a safety, you got to cover tight ends. Who know? Wide receiver threes. Can't make, he's whiffed on tackles. I mean, we saw it in that one game. He came up just to make the tackle. I think it was the Ravens, the Patriots. I forgot what game it was. Whiffed a tackle. Can't cover I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. A lot of Eagle fans are pissed off. This is a youth movement right now. I'm sorry, but if you're saying that Cooper DeJean is not going to get a spot because of James Bradberry at safety, you're out of your mind. Tristan McCollum is going to be a worse player than James Bradberry. I have seen Tristan McCollum make more plays in preseason games and in practice than James Bradberry has. I don't care what the money is. The money doesn't mean anything to me. I think there's and the Titans had interest. There are teams around the league that don't even think James every team or most teams out there think that Bradberry has lost a step at corner. He has transitioned to safety, not well, and teams don't even look at him as a safety going forward. There is no value for James Bradberry. Hence, this contract that the Eagles gave him looks bad. It looks worse. And theoretically, last year offseason, when we re-signed James Bradberry, it's only because the Eagles couldn't sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Okay, if the Eagles signed Johnson, Bradberry wouldn't even be here. Bradberry was supposed to get $15 to $16 million a year, and the Eagles got him at 13, 14. Okay, so he took a pay cut to stay in Philadelphia last year, on an extension, and he's supposed to be here for one more year after this year. So no value for us, and in my eyes, they have him as the third best safety. No way in hell is he that. And no teams have any interest to even. The Eagles tried. Now, this doesn't mean that something can get done next week. Howie Roseman did say in this press conference that, it's not over yet. And he's like, I'm not even talking about the practice squad. There is practice squad to worry about. And we have to go to the practice squad. But more, he said that, we're still not done, that there's more to do. This final 53 isn't final. It's final at the moment, but Bradberry is blocking a youth movement, and I'm sorry, but this is just a bad contract out of just bringing a guy that was successful the year before to Philadelphia. I think ever since the 22 Super Bowl on that holding call that was BS, I think he has had a mental block. I think something has been wrong with him ever since that Super Bowl. That's just me mentally, and sometimes players do get that way, okay? But I hear at this press conference, oh, it's nice having a veteran. Like, they're saying the most PR bogus statements that anybody can literally say. And Fangio is licking his ass pretty much. Like, oh, yeah, Bradberry, you're so good. Yes. That's what I'm hearing. That's all. His high IQ, great transition. But I'm not seeing it with my own two eyes. Where are we seeing this great safety that could... But, I mean, not even starting. You have him as the number 3 and the second team. McCollum's better? You think Eli Ricks is worse than Brad? I mean, there's no way. For the fourth best safety possibly, because there's no depth there. If Cooper DeJean is not playing right now, or he's on the roster, but I'm saying with Cooper DeJean's big question mark of where they're really going to put him, I'm not redshirting Cooper DeJean because Bradberry has a 4th spot next to Tristan McCollum. It's not happening that way. I'm sorry. It's not happening that way. So that's what I got to say about this entire situation with James Bradberry. I mean, the Eagles... Literally, it's just a veteran in the building. That's all they think of him as. There's no skill set. There's no good transition. There's the coaches hyping him up for what possible reason, I don't know. So this is a big head scratcher for me when it comes to these defensive backs. So really the questions going into really the practice squad and hoping you're getting, Kendall Milton, or you're getting Davis Price back, you're getting EJ Jenkins back, and maybe a Jack Stahl signing. Who knows? This final 53 is not the final 53. I'm really happy about Thomas Booker on the defensive line for the DTs. I'm really happy about Eli Ricks coming back. I think everything is pretty good, pretty solid, but tight end still a concern. Wide receiver, I still think they add another receiver. There is still rumors about Parris Campbell possibly coming back. They might make some switches. They might make some changes. I don't know what's going to happen here. You can only move guys up from the practice squad during the season like 3 or 4 times a year, and that's it. Because once you do that, once you bring them up to the active roster for a game the 3rd or 4th time, they have to stay on the active roster. That's what happened to Covey last year. Okay, and they had no choice. So, want to see what the kick returner looks like. I don't know who our actual kick returner is. Is it Isaiah Rodgers? Will they cross-train Will Shipley from punt return to kick return? Have they used anybody else? Because Anais Smith isn't around, and some of these other guys aren't around. I hope it's not Kenneth Gainwell on kick returns, because I don't want that either. So, potentially, I think there were some good moves, a lot of youth, a lot of new faces, so that's great. Coaching staff is producing players. That's what we want to see with new faces coming into this defense, this offense, whatever you want to say about it. But Bradberry is in question. That I don't think he's going to be here. There is no way, okay, Cooper DeJean's future in the next week, where else will they move him except being that second-team nickel corner and tight end? We're going to find out about that position in no time with EJ Jenkins, hopefully not getting claimed off waivers, and obviously Jack Stahl possibly on a return. See what goes on there. Let me know what you guys think about the final 53. And let me go through actually the release and waive list, because I know some of you guys have been wanting to see this list in general. So this is the list. Release players: Oren Burks, Parris Campbell, Nick Gates, Will Greer, Matt Hennessy, Parry Enkerson, Julian Aquara, John Ross, Max Sharpen, Brett Toth. Now, these are the players that got waived. Tackle guard, Gadieb, I can't say that guy's name. Tackle, Anim Dankwa, Davis Price, Kevin Folsch, Gabe Hall, Jacob Harris, Griffin Herbert, Teron Jackson, EJ Jenkins, Josh Jobe, Terrell Lewis, Dylan McMahon, Zach McPherson, Kendall Milton, PJ Mustafer, Joseph Nagata, Lou Nichols, Jason Poe, Armani Rogers, Andre Sam, Brandon Smith, Sean Steffens, Caden Stearns, Leakin Vakalahi, Austin Watkins. Obviously, Sidney Brown is still on the PUP list right now, and now you have Albert O and Anais Smith on IR. So that is your recently released and waived, and then we went over the final roster. Let me know what you guys think about this list. What do you think is a big weakness? How do you feel about James Bradberry still being here, and do you think the Eagles are still trying to move him, but they're still hyping him up for some weird reason going forward? This video is sponsored by BetUS. Get a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Click the link in the description and start betting, because the Eagles are going to make you a lot of money this season. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Shakes what up, file side. Peace out, guys. Peace.